Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Sports Talk with Brodes. I'm not going to lie to you. I did record my Flyers podcast right before this, and they just had a brutal loss to the Boston Bruins, so I am fired up on another level. So I hope that doesn't really transition into this. I hope I don't take my frustration and apply that to this win, but I'm just putting it out there. Be fully aware. If you do recognize there's a moment where I just take off and go to this extreme level, I think my blood is just boiling at this moment from that emotional loss I just had to sit through with the Flyers on this night where we had the Sixers at 7 and the Flyers at 8 o'clock. So I just need to make sure that is on the table and everybody completely understands the situation. But look, the Sixers, they won, and it did get iffy, and there is this common situation that continues to pop up. We saw a similar thing occur against the Los Angeles Lakers when Tobias Harris had to come up clutch and save the day. Now we're seeing it again against the Charlotte Hornets, and we have seen it before in the first 21 games where they were 15-6. And oh, by the way, this basketball team last year was 15-6 after 21 games. So just for the crowd that said, well, we never won this game last year, we never won this game last year, we never won this game last year, after every single game so far this season, which just irritates me like no other. Well, you're wrong. You're just wrong. It's not a reality. You're just making things up. But I digress. There is this common theme, though, of these late game situations. They were up 26 points in that third quarter, and they allowed the Charlotte Hornets to get back into the game. They were making their shots. They were getting good looks. The Sixers did not hold that same intensity defensively. What was so beautiful about the start to this game, they held the Hornets to 13 points. Let me repeat that. They held the Charlotte Hornets to 13 points in the first quarter. That's outrageous. All right, that's nearly impossible. While they scored 30 points of their own, they held the Hornets to 22.7% from the field. They couldn't get a lick of good looks. Every time they tried to penetrate and go to the rim, Joel Embiid would meet them there, and he was unreal. His size, his athleticism, his ability to scare people off. You see Joel Embiid when you're dribbling towards the rim, you go, oh, damn, I don't want a piece of this at all. I need to look in another direction, which then forced the Hornets to make poor decisions. And why you see such great perimeter play, and this isn't to, take a shot at Matisse Thybulle or Ben Simmons or anybody else that plays great defense by the perimeter, but it's so much easier to be lethal when you have that protection by the rim. They're great defenders as it is. Now add what Joel Embiid does so strongly, and now it takes Matisse and Ben Simmons, who are, let's say, 10 out of 10. Now it makes them like 12 out of 10 because you have that safety blanket behind you and Embiid. And that Hornets team looked lost. They had no identity. They couldn't pass the rock good enough. They couldn't find the open guys. They would try and swing the basketball. It would lead to turnovers. It was sloppy. Now, eventually, they found their rhythm, but that's because the Sixers took their foot off the gas. But in that first quarter, not only defensively was Joel Embiid special, but offensively, too. Coast to coast, pushing Zeller away for a monster jam. He was making three-pointers, and he's been limiting the attempts. It's not like he's popping the threes at will whenever he wanted to like he did in years past. Now it's more structured shooting three. It's more timely threes. He's picking and choosing when he wants to shoot it, and he's doing it at a higher clip, which makes it even sweeter. Joel Embiid was knocking it down by the perimeter. He was making the mid-range jumpers at will. He had his whole repertoire early, and that's why he finished with 13-6 in the first quarter. And I feel bad for someone like Cody Zeller. Good luck, dude. What do you want out of this guy? I mean, there's only so much you can do. I saw a moment where Miles Bridges was basically like holding the guy back and bringing him to the ground for a foul call because he knew if Joel Embiid was going to touch the ball in the paint, he was going to get waxed and literally abused. And after the game, he was asked about Joel Embiid. Miles Bridges, this is. It's like, no one can stop this dude. No one can guard him. When he makes the shot like he's making, especially if he's making them from the three-point line, how do you stop him? Because if you're going to go out and defend him that way, he has the ability to Euro step, to dribble drive, to pull up, to post you down. He can do anything that he wants to do. And oh, by the way, he can execute it as well. Joel Embiid was so sensational. There was, in that second quarter, there was a stretch where I got a little nervous, and that wasn't the point where Charlotte took off. Obviously, that was more in the second half, but they went on a 7-0 run, and LaMelo Ball had this outrageous pass to Miles Bridges on this fast break. LaMelo Ball with the pass behind his back, and Miles Bridges does a windmill dunk. You could see the reactions on the bench. Everyone was blown away, and I thought maybe that would be this energy booster, and that would be something to spark the Hornets to get on some sort of run. It somewhat died off from there. But speaking of that second quarter, there was a scary moment for the Sixers. And Shake Milton looked like he had a non-contact injury, and as he was driving to the lane, his knee buckled. Now, originally, I thought that maybe he stepped on someone's foot and that twisted his ankle, or he just twisted his ankle in general. But when you see the replay, he plants his foot, his knee buckles, and then he fouled on purpose so he can check out of the game and go to the locker room. Look, you see a non-contact injury, and that is something that is not good. Doc Rivers alluded to the fact that he was a little bit nervous at the time and he was scared because, look, naturally, when you see something like that happen, it's normally not good. Like, the outcome of that is, you are going to miss some time, and it can be something that can knock you out for a good portion. And in that moment, I was thinking, okay, let's say, because obviously worst case scenario always pops into your brain, let's say Shake Milton does have to miss some games and he can't log in minutes for you. Is Tyrese Maxey enough? Is he someone that you can rely on to be that six-man, that backup point guard, that primary ball handler to run your offense? Now, I would imagine in regular season games that would be the case. And who knows, with Shake Milton not being as strong as we all liked him to be, because once again, this last 8-game stretch or so for him has not been his best basketball. It has not been his most efficient basketball, I should say. And with Tyrese Maxey having strong moments, I was just questioning internally, look, could this be a spot where Tyrese Maxey gets a chance to move up a role, be a six-man, and then it's like, hold on a second, maybe we have something here, and that's a piece that comes out of nowhere and surprises you, and something that you can really maybe push and move and use moving forward. Can't get my words out. But at the end of the day, he's good. He's ready to rock and roll moving forward, and that's obviously a great thing for this team. Tobias Harris, he was great. He was awesome. You're seeing Doc Rivers really rely on him in the fourth quarter. Sometimes the bench is still in play, specifically early in the fourth quarter. And then even when there are starters back out on the court, it's pretty clear and evident that Doc Rivers wants to run through Tobias Harris. And we all asked the question entering this season, if not Joel Embiid, who? And we all, just because we think of the two stars in Ben and Joel, we said, okay, it has to be Ben. But this Tobias Harris run is incredible. It's so much fun. And if he can be this consistently, if this is who Tobias Harris really is, well, then you might have that secondary piece to get you a bucket when you really need to. A guy with confidence and swag right now that Doc Rivers can put the ball in his hand and say, hey, make sure you go do this. Make sure you go execute this play. He was a big-time leader last year in terms of off the floor, and I think that's really translating and becoming more of an on-the-floor thing as well. That the fact that you can get Tobias Harris the ball in crucial moments, and he's more of a player that, a different style of player, I should say, than Joel Embiid, because, you know, you have that big man with the versatility back to the basket and all. But Tobias plays a different role and has a different skill set where you can give teams different looks. Tobias Harris has been very strong. He added this Euro step left-hand finish. That's something he said that he really wants to work on with his game. And when you look at his size and what he is capable of doing, if you throw that into the repertoire, well, then you're really throwing defenders in for a loop. But it only makes it harder for guys on the other team to hold Tobias Harris in a comfortable spot, like if you can add that to the mix, and now it's, Tobias Harris isn't just going to do X, Y, and Z, but he can add a little Euro, or he can add that left-hand finish. Now it's, okay, well, if I am a defender, now I got to think about that in the back of my head. Wait, he added that Euro. Oh, damn it. And now you're a foot slow or a half a second slow, and Tobias is already backpedaling, ready to get back on defense while you're thinking in your head, damn it, what did I just do? How did I just screw that up? Free throws, 9 for 9. Efficient. Every single game, I feel like I come on here to talk about what happened, and the word efficient comes out of my mouth when describing Tobias Harris. I also see moments just throughout. I'm not even just specifically dialing in on tonight's matchup, but I'm just saying in general, the defense of Tobias Harris is something else, and I'm just looking at the growth of his game because, you talk about where he is at his age, and he's not a star to the point where when you look at him, it's like, Tobias Harris has this big, huge window of opportunity to grow and groom into this star. When you talk about a Joel Embiid at the younger 20s, you think, wow, the ceiling is so high. When is it going to stop? When you think about Ben Simmons, you think about the ceiling and when it can stop. Like, how high is that ceiling? But with Tobias Harris, he doesn't really have that narrative tied behind him. It's almost like he's a guy that has a cap. And his cap is obviously very successful, and his cap can benefit a team, but his ceiling isn't extremely high. The sky is the limit. He can go to this next level. Like, he does have this cap tied to his name, but he's still adding. And for him to be taking these steps, I never really anticipated it. And I think a lot of this fan base never really thought that it would take off to this level. We thought and really hoped that Doc Rivers, just based off of the track record and the history, would be able to get more out of Tobias and to get him to be at least a functional player. But now you're elevating that to maybe his first All-Star appearance ever. And it's just an awesome thing to watch. And I think a lot of that has to do with what Ben Simmons does do from a positive standpoint when it comes to, driving the rack, and then other guys are getting wide open looks like Tobias Harris, like Danny Green, and Joel Embiid playing at the level that he's playing, where you got to really focus on him. You try and bring the double. That's not going to work. If I'm going to nitpick a bit with Joel Embiid, I don't think it was his strongest in terms of realizing the double team, passing out of the double team. Sometimes it was a little all over the place. The pass wasn't so much in the breadbasket for his teammates, which it normally is. It has been that successful this season. So a tiny nitpick, not that I'm truly concerned about it. I think he'll get back on track in that area. Just something that I noticed. Let's get to Ben. By the way, Tobias finished with 26 points, 8 of 15 shooting. Ben Simmons offensively. I thought the end of the third was something that stood out to me. He had 12 field goal attempts, 7 to 12 from the field for 15 points. What I really noticed out of him was he was taking advantage of some mismatches, taking advantage of matchups that benefited him. There's so many times where a defender backs off of him, someone he should abuse. A Grayson Allen, that one stood out to me when they were playing Memphis. Like, there's matchups where he should obliterate the opponent and get to where he wants to on the floor and just operate smoothly and get a bucket. And you're passing up on those opportunities, and maybe that results in a turnover, or maybe that results in someone else on the team getting a good look, but it doesn't go in. He passes up on those chances where he should dominate the matchup. Well, I thought in this game, whether it was a right-handed hook, he saw a matchup, he felt it comfortably, and he went after it. He had the IQ and the mentality of, okay, here's something that I could exploit. Let me make sure that I take advantage of this mismatch. This is someone I can wax. I'm going to wax him. Now, there's some controversy out there because, he shot with his right hand. This right-handed hook shot game with the right. Is he left-handed? Is he right-handed? I still can't believe we are this deep into the Ben Simmons era, and we are still questioning what hand he could finish with. Although, one of the big topics when he came here in Philadelphia is he's so lethal, he's so fantastic that he can do so much with both hands. That's what makes Ben Simmons so special. But look, you got to realize, like, everyone has that dominant hand. Whether you're good at both or not, you still have that strong hand, and we don't really know which one it is to this day. But with that hook shot, with that little baby hook, utilizing his body, getting in position, finding a comfort zone, he was rocking right-handed. The shooters in this game. Everyone's like, oh, well, if Seth Curry would have made shots. I told you, the right way to approach this with Danny Green and Seth Curry is they are a package. Don't think about it as Danny Green and Seth Curry, like Danny Green needs to do X and Seth Curry has to do X. It's between the two. If you get Y, then you got enough from your shooters. And I think out of Danny Green, you got enough tonight to cover for Seth Curry 0. Maybe one more 3 would have been nice to say, okay, 5 threes out of the 2 because Danny Green finished 4 of 7 from 3. So maybe 5 threes out of the 2 would have made me feel a little more comfortable about things. But ultimately, I thought Danny Green made up for Seth Curry. You're not going to have a night where Seth Curry's hitting 5 threes, Danny Green's hitting 5 threes, you're getting 10 threes from those guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. Out of an 82-game season, can that happen? Sure. I mean, it can happen, but that's more of the outlier. I thought Danny Green picked up Seth Curry's poor play. I know a lot are looking at the COVID situation and saying, well, maybe there's a connection, but I saw Seth Curry play strong coming back from COVID like he didn't miss a beat. So me personally, I'm not going to say that because he had COVID-19, that's why he's playing poorly tonight. I saw him play so damn well right after the COVID stuff, and that's not me trying to downplay COVID. It's just the way that I look at this. I think Seth Curry's just in a little bit of a downfall. He was shooting close to 60% from 3 to start the season. To think that that's something that's going to be long-term and that's who he is, well, that's just not realistic. He would fall back to reality at some point, and I think this is more just naturally falling back to reality. Dwight Howard had some positive minutes off the bench. You saw Matisse Thybulle get some action as well. Furkan, I saw people raving about his defense at times, but I saw nothing out of Furkan to really move my needle personally. Speaking of moving my needle, let me tell you about my friends over at DraftKings because they sure do. There's no doubt about it. The 55th Super Bowl is this weekend. 55 in a game this big deserves a big prize, not just some trophy. And DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of Super Bowl 55, has up to $55 million in total prizes up for grabs with their Super Bowl prediction pool. How's that for big? All you have to do to get your share of these huge prizes is enter the DraftKings free Super Bowl prediction challenge. Once you submit your picks, you will get a free instant prize up to $25,000. And if you have the most predictions correct, you can win the top prize of $1 million. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code Brodes to enter the free $55 million Super Bowl prediction challenge. Everyone gets an instant prize up to $25,000 just for playing. So use promo code Brodes now and enter the free $55 million Super Bowl challenge only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of Super Bowl 55. Terms, conditions, and eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. And I think this is a good time to let you guys know that I'm also doing a giveaway on my Twitter page right now. If you go to my Twitter, @Brodes81, at the top of my profile, there's a pinned tweet, and I'm giving away an awesome Eagle snow hat. And every Wednesday, that's right, every Wednesday, there will be a new giveaway. So make sure you go over there. All you have to do is follow me and retweet the tweet that describes the giveaway, and it's that simple. So just be aware that there's going to be one every Wednesday. Make sure you fly on over to Twitter and toss the kid a follow. All right, let's take some Anytime Hotline calls. I want to hear what you thought about tonight's game.
Hey, what's up, Brodes? Man, I love what we did tonight against Charlotte during the first half. We looked like a dominant championship-level team. Second half, looked like we got complacent and just thought it was already over. We need 48 minutes. Seth Curry, I'm a little concerned. Hope he'll be okay. Later.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be okay. I just think the law of averages is really playing out here. To assume that he's just going to be the 60% lethal guy, it's just not a reality. And he was playing so red hot. You know, we were questioning, how would the Dallas Mavericks possibly trade Josh Richardson for Seth Curry? I thought he just came out so unreal that, you know, the expectations got set so high, the bar was so high for him, and there's a little bit of law averages coming out. Like, he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be who he has always been throughout his career, which is a reliable shooter, someone who can hit open shots, someone who can put the ball on the floor, create a little bit off the dribble as well, and he can make passes too. Like, he can come off screens. He can do a lot of things. I think he'll be just fine. This is just one game where he didn't have his best night, and this is standard for shooters. Shooters, the definition of them are streaky elite players. That's what they are. No one's so insanely consistent where they nonstop every game, night in and night out in the NBA, are clutch. Kyle Korver had awful nights. He's one of the best shooters to ever be a three-point specialist. It's just a reality of the situation. In terms of how they finished that second half, it's a mindset thing for this team. And they need to find a way to close the gap here on that, because it is something that continues to happen. This isn't just random. This isn't just once in a blue moon. It does happen a lot. This team gets a lead, they get comfortable, and then they feel like they don't have to put as much pressure on the opponent. They feel they could take a step back. Well, you're going to cost yourself games if that's the case. The difference this year, though, is Joel Embiid is playing at an MVP level, so when things do get ugly and when things do seem to fall off a bit, you have someone to go get you a bucket. Or Tobias Harris is coming up big. Well, in years past, that wasn't the case. The guys weren't ready for the closing moments. I think, honestly, they have learned from the past where they would get abused late and where they would not learn how to close out. All of those painful losses throughout the Brett Brown years played a role in, okay, we need to stop this. We need to close the door. So the next step is, yeah, you might allow that team to get the run, but you can counter. And then eventually, as we continue to go through this timeline, it is you don't even allow that run to happen. So step one is feel the pain and then learn from experiences. Step two is, yeah, the pain might come happen because you're going to still have the teams come at you, but you can close them better. And then step three is you don't even allow that push to occur. So we're working on a process here of these younger players growing, and these players in general on this Sixers team, they're just growing. It's part of them advancing their skill set, part of them advancing their knowledge of the NBA game.
What up, Brodes? Big night from Joel and Tobias. Great game all around. I'd love to see the team put this performance in place, especially against a weak bottom of the end team like Charlotte. One thing I did notice is that the only time we really struggled was when we tried to be players that we're not. When Tobias Harris tries to be a player that he's not as good. Same goes for Ben, same goes for Joel, same goes for all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's standard, though, right? I mean, if you try and do too much, if you try to be someone you're not, if you try and put the ball on the floor when you're not someone who normally puts the ball on the floor, if you try and overthink the game, well, you're going to be a worse player. If you let the game come to you naturally, if you let your IQ take over, if you let your comfortable play take over, well, then you're most likely going to be a better version of yourself. And I think in any game, there's stretches where the team tries to do too much, and it's a game of runs. Basketball is a game of runs. So when the opponent is making a run, it's probably because they're clicking on all cylinders for those couple of minutes while your team is on their heels and maybe not playing as strong defensively. But then you will counter and you'll get back to yourself. If Tobias or Ben tries to do too much offensively for a couple of possessions, then they get back to who they are. Maybe Ben drives and kicks out and gets himself going with a nice assist or maybe 2-3 assists in a row. And then it gets back to better basketball. The team gets flow. The ball swinging around the perimeter. They're getting better looks. They're operating cleaner. Sure, I think that's just natural, though. That's in all sports. If Carson Wentz tries to do too much, and I think that's a bad example considering this season, but if Tom Brady tries to do too much, if Aaron Rodgers tries to do too much, if Mahomes tries to do too much, well, sometimes that backfires. But if they play to their strengths and they play where they're not overthinking and they're just letting the game come to them, well, they're going to be able to play better. I can't get away from this back end stuff. I want to see a rout. I want to see a 48-game dominance. And look, there's a back-to-back in play here. So I just wonder, going up against Portland, was there the sense of urgency switch? It was there early. They were thinking, let's get Joel some rest. Let's have him sit on the bench. If we put this team away early, we can get rest just based off of being able to put the starters on the bench, have the deep bench players come in, and then you can be prepared for tomorrow's game. Almost like a look-ahead factor. Did they look ahead at Damian Lillard? Look ahead at the Portland Trailblazers tomorrow night and think to themselves, all right, we got this one in the bag. This is fine. Let's move on to tomorrow. Because that happens, for sure. It's a long season. There's a lot of matchups, and there's not that much talent on this team either that they played in Charlotte. So it's like, all right, this team stinks. And I know every time I say the Hornets stinks, people are in my mentions, in my comments. Bro, you're an idiot. Look at their record. There's a lot of teams in the NBA that are not good. So when you play teams that are also not good, one of these teams have to win. Is LaMelo Ball a fun and exciting player in the open floor, and he has versatility, and he can really pass the basketball and make outstanding passes? Absolutely. But is that enough to say that this team isn't bad? The team is bad. Gordon Hayward is an overpaid mess. He's an okay player. The Hornets are a bad team. They're not a good team. Why does that bother people when you point out that the Sixers played bad teams? They played bad teams. Statistics tell you that. Before that Lakers game, they were the second easiest schedule that they faced in the league. Just numbers telling you this. It's not something that I pretend is just fake and I say it just to say it. They play bad teams. They're winning the games. That's what you need to do. But the NBA is made up of a lot of teams that aren't really contenders. There's maybe a handful every year of serious contenders. There's a mix of good teams. Then there's your average teams. And then there's a lot of slop. So it is what it is. Don't get mad at me for pointing out that the other team doesn't have that much skill. They don't have that much skill. Remember Malik Monk? I'm not going to lie. I wanted Malik Monk. Coming out of Kentucky, the team needed some shooting. Shocker. I feel like we say that every year. But Malik Monk is somebody that I really wanted for this team. Good thing they didn't think of what I thought that season. Good thing they didn't take my advice, because he is not what you anticipated. Although he made some shots tonight, he's not what you anticipated at the time of the draft that season when he was coming out of Kentucky. That's for damn sure.
All right, Brodes. Great Sixers win tonight. Embiid was dominant as hell. He had as many points as the Hornets did in the first quarter. Also a great Tobias Harris performance. 26, making all 9 of his free throws. Just very solid. In my opinion, he's a solid all-star reserve off the bench. Ben had solid defense tonight, in my opinion. His offense was okay. He could be better, but that's whatever. And Shake Milton having a solid performance off the bench and making all of his free throws. Great win by the Sixers, and on to the Blazers.
With Shake Milton, I just don't know how to feel on him. I'm like torn. And it's all because of what Paul Hudrick said to me. He's our 97.3 ESPN insider, formerly with NBC Sports Philadelphia. And he said he just doesn't think that Shake is a point guard. He thinks that Shake is a scorer. You know, he could play off the ball. But putting the ball in his hands, it just changes his philosophy, and it changes the way that he attacks because he's thinking about running the point. And that has stayed with me to this day. And it's not like he said this to me 2 years ago. I mean, he said it to me last week. But all week long, I've been thinking about that. What is Shake Milton's best attribute? And I think it's when he attacks. I think it's when he goes to the rim. And you can do that as a point guard. But I think because with the six-man role and because he's out there with bench guys, like he feels the need to make sure that he's getting everyone going. And he feels like, hey, I am a point guard. I need to make sure that this offense is running smoothly through me. I am the general out here. And I just don't know if that's taking away from maybe other sides and other parts of his game. I just don't know how to feel on him. It's not efficient scoring, but he throws splashes out there. He'll give you 4 buckets in a row. It's like, okay. And then it's like, ooh, this is an ugly looking Shake. And I just say, go through the game log. Go through what he's been over 8 games or so. 4 of 12, 4 of 12. Like, that's not efficient basketball. My buddy tweeted this out, and I couldn't disagree with him more. You got to give Shake Milton credit. The guy's averaging 14 points per game when you're on a team with Tobias, with Ben, with Danny Green, with Seth Curry, with Joel Embiid. But it's not efficient. What he was doing earlier in the season, and I know I did this in a recent episode, but I'm going to bring it back up just so I can kind of give you, because I didn't mention what he was doing in the past. I only mentioned what he was doing as a recent that I did not like. So earlier in the season, he would give you 19 points, 6 of 11 shooting, 10 points, 4 of 8 shooting. He gave you 18 points on 13 shots, 31 points on 15 shots, 28 points on 18 shots, 24 points on 13 shots. That is efficient basketball. 2 of 7 with 6 points is not. 3 of 9 for 8 points is not. Tonight he had 9 points on 9 shots, 4 of 9 from the field. Like, I just want more out of Shake Milton, and I don't think I'm crazy to say that I want more out of Shake Milton. Now, the caller mentioned Ben Simmons and maybe not loving offensively. I thought tonight was fine. I'm not going to nitpick Ben offensively just because I thought that in this game he saw a matchup and attacked a matchup. And it wasn't just like a, hey, downhill in the open floor, I'm just going to go attack, boom. I love that style of Ben Simmons. But it was because it was, hey, I'm going to post up. Hey, I like this. Hey, I'm comfortable. I'm going to do it. So it was the approach and the style of that hook, that right-handed hook, that I think stood out to me, where it's not so much about the points and not so much about the field goal attempts, but how it went about, how he went about it, what he did to score those points. That is more of the story for me for Ben. All right, one more here.
Hey, what's up, Brodes? Another day, another game day for the Sixers, another win. The Sixers keep it rolling. Joel Embiid keeping up his MVP season. Although I do wish there was a little bit more from Seth Curry in this game. He did get 0 points. But, you know, Charlotte's not a great team.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Charlotte's not a great team. With the Seth thing, I guess I'm a little shocked by the reaction. He had 0 points, but the guy's been lights out all year long. So he had a stinker. But a lot of people are like, oh, Seth Curry. Oh, I'm nervous about Seth Curry. This and that with Seth Curry. It's like, he'll be fine. He had a bad game. Don't worry about Seth the individual. Worry about the 3-point shooting from Danny Green and Seth Curry as a combination. If you do that, I think you'll feel better about this team, because it's going to be Danny one night, it'll be Seth the other night, it'll be the combination of the both one night. It's going to be different each game, because each game has its own personality. And that's okay. It's okay for that to happen. Don't put too much stress on it. Needs to be this guy giving you X amount of threes. This isn't Joel Embiid we're talking about. This isn't Tobias Harris. This isn't Ben Simmons. It's your floor spacers. Just worry about what the floor spacers do, not one individual. Package them up. It's the safest way to go about things. All right, we'll see what they do tomorrow. If they get another one, bang, bang. Let's see if they can get 2 in a row. They're putting wins together. They're continuing to strive, and they're continuing to look strong, for sure. And it's very fun to watch night in and night out. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.